Think about the last time you posted something online. A photo, an update, an achievement. Did you check back? How often? What feeling arose when you saw the likes, the comments, or the lack thereof? Or consider a time you met someone new. Did you find yourself wondering what impression you were making? Did you adjust your words, your posture, perhaps even your opinions, to fit what you thought they wanted to see? Scroll through any social media feed. We see curated glimpses of others' lives, the highlights, the successes, the seemingly effortless perfection. How does that make you feel about your own life, your own accomplishments, your own struggles? Do you feel inspired? Or perhaps a pang of envy? A subtle pressure to measure up? A feeling of falling short? This tendency to look at others, to gauge our standing relative to them, seems deeply ingrained. We compare appearances, possessions, achievements, relationships, even happiness. Why? Why do we invest so much energy in how others perceive us? Why is the reflection we see in the eyes of others often more compelling than our own internal sense of self? And this constant comparison, this endless game of measuring up, what purpose does it serve? Does it motivate us? Does it connect us? Or does it ultimately leave us feeling more isolated, more inadequate, more disconnected from our authentic selves? The social world acts like a mirror, constantly reflecting back images of who we are or who we should be. Understanding why we look into this mirror and how its reflections shape us is key to navigating our social lives with greater awareness and authenticity. Today, we explore the social self and the pervasive nature of comparison. Why do humans care so deeply about others' perceptions? And why do we constantly engage in social comparison? How do these powerful social dynamics shape our identity and our sense of belonging? Science provides compelling explanations for our preoccupation with others' views and our comparative nature. The social self and the looking-glass self. The self is social. Our sense of self doesn't develop in a vacuum. It's profoundly shaped by our interactions and relationships. Sociologists emphasize that who we think we are is largely constructed through the lens of how we believe others see us. Cooley's looking-glass self. Charles Horton Cooley proposed the looking-glass self concept with 3 elements. 1. We imagine how we appear to others. 2. We imagine their judgment of that appearance. 3. We develop feelings, like pride or shame, about ourselves based on these imagined judgments. Our self-concept is, in large part, a reflection of these perceived social appraisals. Impression management. Because we care about others' judgments, we actively engage in impression management, consciously or unconsciously trying to control how others perceive us. This involves managing our appearance, behavior, and communication to present a desired image. Social comparison theory, Festinger. The drive to compare. Leon Festinger proposed that humans have an innate drive to evaluate their own opinions and abilities. When objective standards are unavailable, we compare ourselves to others to gain self-knowledge and reduce uncertainty. Upward versus downward comparison. We engage in 2 main types of comparison. Upward comparison. Comparing ourselves to those we perceive as better off. This can be motivating, inspiring us to improve, but can also lead to feelings of inadequacy, envy, or lower self-esteem. Downward comparison. Comparing ourselves to those we perceive as worse off. This can boost our self-esteem and make us feel grateful, but can sometimes involve schadenfreude, pleasure at others' misfortune, or lead to complacency. Similarity matters. We tend to compare ourselves most often to people we perceive as similar to us in relevant dimensions, as these comparisons are seen as more informative. Social media amplification. Social media platforms dramatically amplify comparison opportunities. Feeds are often highly curated, presenting idealized versions of reality, making upward comparisons more frequent and potentially more damaging to self-esteem, especially for younger users. Evolutionary perspectives. Reputation management. In our evolutionary past, reputation within the group was critical for survival and reproduction. Being seen as competent, trustworthy, and cooperative increased one's status and access to resources and mates. Caring about others' opinions is likely a deeply ingrained adaptive trait. Status hierarchies. Social comparison helps individuals understand their position within social hierarchies, guiding behavior, e.g., deference to higher status individuals, competition with peers. Our concern for others' views and our tendency to compare are not mere vanity. They are rooted in fundamental psychological processes and evolutionary pressures related to self-evaluation, social standing, and survival within groups. Buddhist teachings offer powerful antidotes to the suffering caused by excessive concern for others' opinions and constant comparison. The illusion of a fixed, judged self. The concept of Anatman, no self, directly challenges the idea of a solid, independent self that can be positively or negatively judged. If the self is an ever-changing process, a collection of interdependent aggregates, skandhas, then seeking permanent validation for it through others' fleeting opinions is inherently frustrating. Clinging to a favorable self-image built on external validation is a source of suffering, dukkha, as opinions change and the desired image is constantly under threat. The roots of comparison, craving, and aversion. Social comparison is often fueled by craving, tanha, wanting what others have, wanting to be seen as superior, and aversion, fearing being seen as inferior, fearing judgment or rejection. Mindfulness practice helps us observe these underlying drives of craving and aversion as they arise in response to comparison, without automatically acting on them. We can notice the feeling of envy or inadequacy without letting it define our self-worth. Mudita, sympathetic joy. As an antidote to envy and the suffering of upward comparison, Buddhism cultivates mudita, sympathetic or appreciative joy. This is the genuine happiness felt for the success, good fortune, and happiness of others, without any sense of personal diminishment. Practicing mudita actively counteracts the zero-sum thinking often inherent in comparison. Their success means my failure. It recognizes that happiness and well-being are not limited resources and fosters a sense of interconnected joy. Equanimity, upekkha, towards praise and blame. Equanimity involves cultivating a balanced, non-reactive state of mind towards the changing circumstances of life, including the 8 worldly winds, praise and blame, gain and loss, pleasure and pain, fame and disrepute. Developing equanimity means recognizing that others' opinions are impermanent and often based on incomplete information or their own projections. While we can learn from constructive feedback, our inner peace doesn't need to be dependent on constant external approval. Focusing on intention and ethical action, karma, rather than focusing excessively on outcomes or how actions are perceived, the emphasis is on the intention, satana, behind the action and its ethical quality, karma. Cultivating wholesome intentions and acting ethically provides an internal compass for behavior, less reliant on the shifting sands of social approval. Buddhism guides us to shift our focus from seeking validation in the external social mirror towards cultivating inner qualities like mindfulness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, leading to a more stable and authentic sense of well-being. Let's explore practices to navigate the social mirror more skillfully. Mindful social media use. The next time you scroll through social media, pay close attention to your internal reactions. Notice any feelings of comparison, envy, inadequacy, or judgment that arise. Acknowledge them without criticism. Ask yourself, is this feed an accurate representation of reality? What is my intention in consuming this content? Consider setting time limits or curating your feed to be more inspiring and less comparison-driven. Identifying your values. Reflect on what truly matters to you, independent of external approval. What qualities do you want to cultivate? What kind of person do you aspire to be based on your own inner compass? Write these values down. When caught in comparison or seeking validation, gently redirect your attention back to living in alignment with your chosen values. Mudita, sympathetic joy, practice. Bring to mind someone you know who has recently experienced success or happiness. Intentionally cultivate feelings of joy for them. Silently wish them continued happiness and well-being. May your happiness continue. May you be free from suffering. Start with someone whose success doesn't trigger envy and gradually extend the practice. These practices help us become more aware of social pressures and comparison habits, and cultivate inner resources for greater authenticity and contentment. The social mirror is powerful. Our concern for others' views and our tendency to compare are deeply human, shaped by evolution and psychology. Yet, excessive reliance on this external reflection can trap us in a cycle of seeking validation, fueling envy, and obscuring our authentic selves. Science helps us understand the mechanisms at play: the looking glass self, the drive to compare, the allure of status. Buddhism offers transformative practices: mindfulness of craving and aversion, the cultivation of sympathetic joy and equanimity, and grounding in ethical intention, to liberate ourselves from the suffering of comparison and external dependency. Can we learn to use the social mirror more selectively, gathering useful information without letting its judgments define our worth? Can we shift from a mindset of comparison to one of appreciation and connection? How can we cultivate the courage to express our authentic selves, even when it doesn't align with external expectations? Navigating the social world with wisdom involves understanding these dynamics and consciously choosing to cultivate inner stability and kindness, both towards ourselves and others. In what situations are you most prone to social comparison? What practices help you connect with your authentic self, independent of others' opinions? How can we support each other in celebrating successes without falling into envy? Share your experiences and strategies in the comments. Let's foster a community of mindful self-awareness and mutual appreciation.